Actually, I will begin now with a review. Last week, for those who were with us last week, you'll remember, we talked about the reading and writing test just to introduce the idea that there will be a test you'll be responsible for where you will have to speak some English and you will have to read some English and you will have to write some English. And we will later on, not this lesson, but later on, we will go through and give you some sample lessons, sample writing, so that you can practice that and you can experience it before you take your test. And a lot of, and we mentioned last week also, a lot of the questions that they will ask you and a lot of the conversation from the interviewer will come from the N400 application. And we will go over that application at another time also. So during this class, we will go through all of those items so that you feel comfortable and confident with them. And tonight, what we're going to do is I'm going to review first what we did last week for those who were not able to make it. And then we will get into tonight's lesson. And last week, what we did was the first 10 questions that they can ask you. And I will show those again on the screen in just a moment. And then we will go through and look at the answers. And I'm not going to go through all the information for each one of them. On the papers that you receive from Madam Viola, all of the information is there and you can refer to that. She will send to you, if you do not have copies, she will send to you through WhatsApp copies of them and you can print them yourself. If you cannot print them, then you can go to the VOR offices and she will print them out. Oh, look at the cutie. I always love seeing the children. But if you cannot print them out,
my husband did that.
I know he did. Yes, he is a funny man.
Yeah.
If you cannot print them out yourself, then we will print them out and you can pick them up at the VOR offices. So just so everyone understands, we want you to make sure you have all the documents so you can read them. The N400 test is something that you can find on the website for citizenship. And we also can print that out and we will show you how to fill out that application. And I know some of you are not ready to fill it out. Some of you have already submitted it and you're waiting for your interview. So that catches us up on some background information. But right now I'm going to share the screen and I will go through the information we did last week. It was the first 10 questions. And we're not going to be doing very much translating tonight because most of what I'm going to share with you, you will need to know in English. So the first question that we went over last week was, what is the supreme law of the land? And there's only one answer to that. And the answer is the Constitution.
Constitution.
And then there were some questions that followed that have to do with understanding the Constitution. The first one was, what does the Constitution do? And there are 3 ways to express that because there are 3 things that it does. One of them is it sets up the government. It says how the government is supposed to be established, how it's supposed to be organized. It defines the government. It says this is the kind of government we are going to have in this country. And then the third thing that the Constitution does is it protects every American's basic rights. So you have, we believe in this country, everyone has certain basic rights and the Constitution expresses those, it says those, and it protects those. So those are 3 things that the Constitution does. The next question, again, has to do with the Constitution. And it mentions, the question does, that we are a self-government, that we are a government of the people. And the idea is expressed in the first 3 words, and you need to memorize, or you need to remember these 3 words. They are the first 3 words of the beginning of the Constitution, or the beginning of what they call the preamble to the Constitution. And it begins, we the people.
We the
Right.
people.
We the people.
We the people.
And all of these things you're going to have to know in English. Okay. The fourth question is, what is an amendment? And when the founding fathers created the Constitution, they knew that the document would need to have some changes to it as the country changed. And one of the things they did was they devised a mean, or they came up with a means to do that, and they call it an amendment. And an amendment to the Constitution is either a change in what's already there or an addition to it. So what the question is, what is an amendment? And it is a change or an addition.
Ah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. Okay.
So they knew that it would have to change as time went on. And the first 10 changes that they talked about, the first things they knew needed to be changed right away were the first 10 amendments, and that first 10 amendments is called the Bill of Rights. So question number 5 is, how do we call the first 10 amendments to the Constitution? And the answer is the Bill of Rights.
Of rights.
Bill of Rights, yes.
The Bill
These are
of
rights that we believe every American citizen has. And so, and I'm not going to go into defining them again. We did that last week, but we will do that more in the coming weeks also. The next question, number 6, was, what is one right or freedom from the First Amendment? Remember, the first 10 amendments are called the Bill of Rights. The First Amendment, it says it right here, is the freedom of speech, press, religion, assembly, and petition. That's what this says right here.
first, yeah, okay.
Okay. And what it says is, what is one of the rights? In question number 6, you have to be able to answer one of these. What is one right or freedom from the First Amendment?
Yeah. Speech.
Speech is one of them.
Religion or press.
The freedom of the press, freedom to assembly, to gather together, and freedom to petition or to tell the government, we believe this change should be made. So to petition the government. So that's that question. The answer is, what was one? You have to remember one of them. So it may be speech is the easiest one to remember. It may be religion is the easiest one to remember. You have to remember just one of them. And then the question number 7 from last week is, how many amendments does the Constitution have? And there are right now 27 amendments. There's only one answer, and the answer is 27 amendments. And some of these amendments happened in some of your lifetimes. The last time an amendment was added to the Constitution, it happened in 1992, which is only 30 years ago. And I think everybody on here is 30 or more. So it was in your lifetime. The next document that we talked about last week was the Declaration of Independence. This is the document that was signed at the beginning of our country before the Constitution, and it made certain declarations, as the name of the document says. First, it announced our independence from Great Britain. It also declared to the world we are independent. We are no longer tied to Great Britain. And then it said that the United States is a free, separate country.
Great.
Yep. So the Declaration of Independence accomplished all 3 of those things. And you have to be able to answer what it did. And if you were to give one of these answers, it would be okay. If you know all 3, that's wonderful. And the Declaration of Independence was accepted by Congress and read for the first time on July 4th, 1776, which is why we have our 4th of July Independence Day. Okay, and then question number 9 last week was, what are 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence? And in the Declaration, it says, we believe that there are certain rights that are granted by our Creator. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And you have to be able to name 2 of those when they ask the question. So what are 2 rights in the Declaration of Independence?
Life, liberty.
Yes, and the pursuit of happiness. So if you can only remember 2, sometimes life and liberty are the easiest 2 to remember.
Pursuit.
Okay.
Pursuit.
Pursuit.
Pursuit of happiness.
Yes, pursuit of happiness. That is correct.
Pursuit.
Okay. And the last question we went over last week is question number 10. And it said, it asked the question, what is the freedom of religion? And there is a simple answer to that. The simple answer is, you can practice any religion you want or not practice a religion at all. Both of those are acceptable answers. In most people's cases in the US, they have a religion that they practice. And we believe that everyone has the right in this country to practice their religion, the religion that they hold dear to their heart, and the government cannot stop them from doing it. And so the question number 10 is, tell me what that means. What does freedom of religion mean? And the answer that is the most suited for that is you can practice any religion,
Any religion, or not to practice.
not practice any religion.
Or a religion.
And the government doesn't have any say in that. The government cannot force you to have a religion or cannot force you to not have a religion. So, and you get to practice it the way your religion dictates or the way your religion says you should practice it. So some religions, they have you praying many times during the day at certain times. Other religions talk about prayer, but it's done differently. The way your religion wants to be practiced, you have the freedom to practice it that way. And it's very important because I cannot tell somebody of who is a Buddhist that they cannot light their incense in their home and pray to Buddha. I can't tell them that. I may think that they're praying to a wrong God. That's my choice to think that, but I can't stop them from worshiping their way. And that's very important to understand. Okay, any questions on those first 10 questions that we went over last week? Anything that I need to restate so you understand it in English?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, tonight we're going to move into question 11, and we're going to try and get through question 25. We'll try to, but if we get to where it's taking too long, we won't go that far. Tonight talks about our economy, the rule of law, and then it goes into how our government is set up, how the system of government is designed. The first question, question number 11, is what is the economic system of the US? And I have a chart here that I'm going to put up on the screen. I think you can all see this. There are two different opposing views of economies. One is that the government owns everything, and the other is that private people own everything. And when I say everything, obviously the government owns some things and private people don't own everything, but it means that there is a private sector and there's a government sector. And we believe in a market economy rather than a command or a socialist kind of government. So we practice that you as an individual can own things, you can start a business. Let's say that Magid wanted to start a business and he wanted to have a woodworking business and he wanted to make furniture. He has the right in our economy to do that without getting permission from anyone except for getting a license to do it the right way. And when he gets a license, they don't tell him you can't make furniture. They say, we just need to know that that's the business you have so that we make sure that you follow all the right business rules. But they can't tell him he cannot do that he cannot have a business. Whereas in a socialist or in a command kind of economy, the government tells you what kind of business you can go in. So the government could say to Magid, no, we have too many furniture makers. You cannot be a furniture maker. You have to be an eyeglass maker. And he says, I don't like to make eyeglasses. I like to make furniture. And they say, no, we're the government and we're going to tell you what kind of work you can do. Okay, that's a command economy. We have a market economy. And what regulates or what controls a market economy is the supply and demand. If Magid wanted to go into the furniture business and no one needed furniture, then there's no demand for it. There's no one wanting furniture, so he would be foolish to try and start a business for something that no one wants. Supply and demand. We have a lot of things in the US that are new that did not exist 50 years ago. For example, cell phones. There are cell phone manufacturers that exist today that did not exist 50 years ago, didn't exist 20 years ago, because there is a demand for it, and they have gone into business to provide the supply. In a government that is run, or excuse me, in an economy that is run by a government, they would tell you how much you can charge for the things you make. And That's not what a market economy does. So those are the two different kinds of economies that you can have. And the question, we'll go back to the question. The question is, what is the economic system of the United States? And there's two ways to say it. It's the same answer, but two ways to say it. The first one is, it is a capitalist economy or it is a market economy.
Market economy.
Yes.
Yeah, يعني same?
That same, they mean the
Yeah.
same thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We are capitalists instead of socialists. In
Okay.
socialists, the government controls things, trying to make them equal for everybody. In capitalism, individuals get to make those choices. So those are the two different kinds of economies that we have. The next question, question number 12, is what is the rule of law? And this is a phrase that is very important to our Constitution and very important to us. The rule of law says no one is outside of the law. Everybody has to follow the same law. Everyone has to, if there is for those of you who drive, okay, those of you who drive, the speed limit on the side of the road is the same for Afaf as it is for me. Farzana does not have a right to go 90 miles an hour down the freeway or down the road if it says 45, because she will be stopped by a policeman and given a ticket. Okay. I don't have any special rights where I can go a different speed than she can go. We all have to follow the same law. And policemen, government officials, every individual has to follow the same law, and that's called the rule of law. Everyone must follow it. Leaders must obey it. The government must obey it. No one is above the law. And the phrase that describes that is called rule of law.
فينا
Make
نقول
sense?
بس فينا نقول one. No one is above the law.
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. And if you say that, then you can say it any one of these four ways that are listed here. If you say everyone must follow the law, that's a good answer.
Yeah,
You say
okay.
leaders must obey the law, that's part of it, but everyone must obey the law. No one is above the law. That's question number 12.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody understand that? Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. I think Viola is still trying to get in.
Yes, Viola كانت driver.
Yeah, now I arrived.
Ah, there she is.
I'm
Welcome, Madam
sorry.
Viola.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's
I
fine.
was helping a lady to move, so
Well, we're glad you're okay.
yeah, I'm okay.
All
Yes.
right. Okay, I'm going to continue with question number 13. Question number 13 goes into describing our system or our type of government. Our government is set up with three different branches, and I'm going to put a graphic up here again because it helps describe those by a graphic. Okay, can you all see that?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
three branches of government, and the Constitution has divided it in three parts so that everybody is equal. Everyone has a fair say in the government. And let me just make it a little bit smaller so you can get everything. There we go.
Yeah, this is very nice picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it describes
Yeah,
it very well.
Very, very good. Yes, explanation. It explain everything. Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to go through this chart and I'm going to explain it. And I'm going to use the cursor on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. The Constitution is what establishes or states how this is supposed to work. And there are three, what we call branches. One branch is the legislative branch. The other branch is the executive branch. And the third branch is the judicial branch. So I'll say those again: legislative branch, executive branch, and judicial branch. They each have three different roles or different functions or duties that they have to perform. The legislative branch is the only branch that makes our laws. The executive branch, the president, does not make the laws. The judges, judicial branch, does not make the laws. Only the legislative branch can make laws. The executive branch, they have the duty to carry out the laws, to make sure that they are executed well, so that they are accomplished properly. And that's the executive branch. And the judicial branch takes a look at any of those laws and the behavior of people with those laws to decide whether or not it matches the will of the Constitution or the writing in the Constitution. So the judicial branch interprets the law. Now, who makes up each of those branches? The legislative branch is made up of the Congress. And you will hear many times on TV and on the news about the Congress. The Congress is made up of two parts. I know this can sound confusing, but the Congress is made up of a Senate, and we'll talk about Senate and senators in a minute. And it is made up of the House of Representatives. All together, that makes up the Congress. The Senate is not the Congress alone. The House of Representatives is not the Congress alone. Both of them together are the Congress. That's the legislative branch who makes the laws. The executive branch is made up of the president, his vice president, and the cabinet or his advisors in very specific areas that meet with him regularly to give him information on the different parts of the government that he is responsible for carrying out the laws. So the president, vice president, and his cabinet make up the executive branch. The judicial branch, the federal government judicial branch, which means the Washington, D.C. government, is made up of the Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, and other federal courts. Now, you will have in your city a local or a county court, or what they call superior court. You'll have courts in your area that are not federal. They are state and they are local courts. What this talks about in the Constitution are federal courts, the ones that are for the country as a whole. And the courts that are in the other areas, the Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. So if somebody does not like a decision from a lower court, it goes all the way to the Supreme Court. So let me just review that very quickly, and then I'll let you ask questions about it. The Constitution divides our government and how it is set up into three branches: legislative, executive, and judicial. And each of those have people within it that are responsible for their duties. Congress makes the laws, the president and his cabinet carries out the laws, and the Supreme Court and the judges interpret the law. Okay, now what questions do you have on that?
هتحبوا ترجمها؟
Yeah.
Yeah, please, Viola.
الكونستيتيوشن اللي هو الدستور. الدستور تقسيم الدولة نفسها 3 سلطات زي أي دولة. السلطة الليجيسليتيف اللي هي السلطة التشريعية. الثانية اللي هي اكزيكتيف السلطة التنفيذية اللي بتنفذ. الجوديشال السلطة القضائية. يبقى هو متقسم ل3 حاجات: سلطة تشريعية، تنفيذية، قضائية. السلطة التشريعية مكوناتها بتعمل ايه في الأول؟ makes the law. يبقى الليجيسليتيف هم اللي بيحطوا اللو. مين هم الليجيسليتيف دول؟ اللي هو عبارة عن الكونجرس. عشان لما يقول لك مين بيعمل اللو هتقول الكونجرس. الكونجرس بيتكون من جزئين: السينات اللي هو السيناتورز والهاوس اوف ريبريزنتيف. يبقى الكونجرس متقسم حاجتين: السينات والهاوس اوف ريبريزنتيف. يبقى السلطه التشريعيه اللي هي عباره عن مين ممثلينها؟ الكونجرس، والكونجرس 2. نيجي للثانيه اللي هي الاكزيكتيف برانش. الاكزيكتيف مين هم بيعملوا ايه؟ بينفذوا القانون، اللي هي كاري اوت لوز، اللي هم مسؤولين عن التنفيذ. عشان كده مكتوبه السلطه التنفيذيه. مين هم دول السلطه التنفيذيه؟ اللي هو الرئيس والمساعد الرئيس اللي هو الفايس بريزيدنت، والكابينت اللي هي الوزارات زي وزاره الزراعه، وزاره الصناعه، وزاره الماليه، وزاره الاميجريشن، كله دي مجموعه الوزارات. المجموعه الثالثه اللي هي جوديشال اللي هي السلطه القضائيه. السلطه القضائيه اللي هي مسؤوله عن القوانين، تشريع القوانين، ودي بتتكون من 2: القضائيه اللي هي بتحكم السوبريم كورت، دي اعلى زي مثلا
المحكمة العليا كان لها
زي
المحكمة العليا هي المحكمة القضائية العليا. المحكمة القضائية العليا، ومين تاني معايا اللي هو other federal courts اللي هي المحاكم التانية.
الفدرالية، المحاكم الفدرالية.
بالظبط كده.
اوكي
تمام.
شكرا يا
حلوة
فندم.
قوي الرسمة دي.
سهلة.
Now,
very good, very nice.
Sir,
yes,
very good.
sir, I have a question.
yes.
Okay, the question is, so we know that, the law making by Senate or House of Representative, or both of them, the Congress. So how about the executive and the judicial? Are they involved, or only executive, which is president, sometimes, involved, but not, except president, not the vice president, the cabinet, these people might not involve, but we know the president's involved, right?
No,
No?
the president and vice president are not part of Congress. They are separate from Congress. The vice president is what they call the president of the Senate, which means he is the person who, if there is a tie in the Senate in voting, he breaks the tie, but he is not a senator. He is the vice president. And so that's a special function of the vice president's office. But the president is not a senator or a House of Representatives, none of his cabinet. In fact, if they are a senator and they want to be a vice president, they have to resign as a senator to become the vice president. And the cabinet, if they want to be part of the president's cabinet, they have to resign.
Yeah, my question is specific, the law. So the law is only responsibility of legislative.
Making the laws, yes.
Sir?
Making the laws is the responsibility of the legislative branch only.
Yeah, making the law.
Yes. The executive branch, you probably have heard that there are things called executive orders. That is the president signing in a suggestion, it's not a law, a suggestion that people behave one way or another. And that can happen regarding areas that are his area of responsibility, like immigration and other areas. But if the Congress says, no, we are making a law that says it differently, they're the ones who make the law. The executive does not.
Yes, because I don't know, somewhere I saw that, the right of veto. So the president has the right to
Yes.
veto.
We will talk about veto because that comes in one of the other questions. He has the right, if he does not agree with a law that the legislative branch makes, he has the right to say, no, I do not accept that, I will not sign it. If he chooses not to sign it, and this is part of our checks and balances to make sure everybody has an equal part in what goes on, the legislative branch can override him by having a 2/3 majority of the legislature say, no, I don't care if the president doesn't like it. We are going to make it a law, and they will override his veto.
Okay.
So he has a voice, and then the judicial branch can say, no, this law is unconstitutional. It takes away a basic right of every American. So the judicial branch is part of the check and balances also, but they don't make the law. All they can do is comment on the law that's been made.
Thank you. Thank you for explanation. Thank you, sir.
Certainly. Okay, so now let's actually go through the questions. And you've heard many of the answers already. Name one branch or part of government. And here are the answers you can give that will be correct. You can say Congress, or you can say the legislative branch. You can say the president, or you can say executive branch. You can say the courts or the judicial branch. Any of those are acceptable answers. Whatever way you want to remember it best, all you have to do is express one of those. Name one branch or part of the government. We just went through and explained all three parts at one time because it's easier to understand. The question here wants you to name just one part.
Yeah, okay, بس واحد.
The other thing, and I mentioned this just a minute ago, what stops one branch of the government from becoming too powerful? We have a system, and we refer to it as checks and balances, which means the president can look at a law and have a voice in it. He doesn't make the law, but he can have a voice in whether or not he thinks it's good or bad. Same thing with the judicial branch. They can have a voice in whether or not it fits the Constitution or doesn't fit the Constitution. That system is called separation of powers or checks and balances. And you only have to remember one of those answers because they both basically mean the same thing. That's what prevents or stops one branch from becoming too powerful. Okay, and then question number 15. Again, this was covered by the chart. By the way, if you do not have that chart, Viola can make sure you get it because it is available as part of the packet of sheets of papers that you can get. So just let her know if you cannot find that. She will send you another copy of it. Who is in charge of the executive branch is question number 15. That's a very easy answer. The president. The president. He is the one in charge of it. There are other people who participate in the executive branch, but it is his responsibility. He is in charge of it. And again, question 16 makes reference to that same chart we looked at. Who makes federal laws? We've already expressed it is the Congress as a whole, not just the Senate, not just the US House of Representatives. It is the Congress as a whole, which is the Senate and House, or you could say the US legislature. Those are all acceptable answers: Congress, Senate and House, or US legislature. And again, all these come from that chart. That's why we explained everything off the chart first. And then what are the two parts of the Congress? There, and this will define why there are two different parts. You may hear the term bicameral. I don't want you to confuse that with bicamel. It isn't camel. It's not two camel. It's bicameral, which means there are two portions of it that have to work together. One portion of it is the Senate. The senators are, there are 100 of them, which goes to question 18. There are 100 of them. There are two equally from every single state in the United States. So we have 50 states, which means we have two from each state, which makes 100 senators. That means that every state has an equal voice in the Senate. So Rhode Island, which is a very tiny state with a very tiny population, has the same voice in the Senate as California, which is a big state with a lot of people, still only has 2 senators. So every state is equal in their voice when it comes to the Senate. So the two parts of Congress are the Senate and the House of Representatives. The reason that there are 100 senators and 2 from each state is so no state can dominate or run over all the other states because it's bigger. It is equal in the Senate. Now the House of Representatives is a little different. We elect senators, this is question 19, we elect a US senator for 6 years. 6 years, and they can serve multiple terms, which means 6 and then another 6 and then another 6 and another 6. And there is no limit to how many terms they can serve. As long as the people elect them to be a senator, they can be a senator from that state. And it is all the state that votes for it, not just one portion of a state. The whole state votes for a senator. And they're elected for 6 years. The next question is, excuse me, who is one of your state's senators right now? And I think all of you are in California, if I'm not mistaken tonight. All of you in California, except for me, I'm in Georgia, but there are 2 senators from California. One of them, her name is Dianne Feinstein.
Newsom.
No, Newsom is the governor.
Governor.
He's the governor. Dianne Feinstein.
Yeah, Alex.
Dianne Feinstein.
Alex Padilla. Okay,
Alex,
now let me just explain one of the things of our government that happened because of the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris was one of the California senators. She resigned as a senator to become vice president. So that meant that in California, they had to appoint another senator, and the governor gets to do that appointing. So the governor of California appointed Alex Padilla to take her place. So we have 2 senators now, Dianne Feinstein and Alex Padilla. Okay, so those, that's California. The House of Representatives now is a whole different plan. It works quite differently.
Excuse me. Can
Yes.
I question? Please, I don't understand the state U.S. senators. I don't understand
Okay,
who
Yes.
is. I don't understand what is the senators.
that's fine. Okay, in our government, in Congress, we have two parts: senators
Yeah.
who help make the
Yeah.
law, and House of Representatives. Every state has two senators. They make up what we call the Senate. Each state has two of them. California's two are listed right here: Dianne Feinstein and Alex Padilla. They participate.
Oh,
They participate in
yeah.
helping to make the laws.
yeah. Now I understand. Thank
Okay,
you.
very good, no problem. The House of Representatives is a different design. There are 435 members of the House of Representatives. And the reason there are 435 is they are more representative, or they represent smaller groups of people. You have a member of the House of Representatives in your district, and your district is designed by your zip code and your address. And everybody has a member of Congress representing them. So if you were to say, I don't like what's going on in my city, I don't like this, that, or the other thing in the government, you could go to your house, your member of the House of Representatives, and they would be the one who would take something before Congress on your behalf, because they are your local representative. And we elect people to the House of Representatives every 2 years. Okay, so the House of Representatives has 435 voting members, and they are elected for every 2 years. Now, to find out who is your representative, there is a website. For many of you who live in Orange County, if you know your district, these are the three who represent you. If you know your district and you're in District 39, it's Young Kim. If you know your district and it's 46, it's Louis Correa. And it's Alan Lowenthal if you're in District 47. I'm going to change the screen here, and I'm going to share the website. Let me stop sharing that. I'm going to share the website that you will look at to find out your representative.
This is Mike. This is means every city have a representative.
Every, it's not by just city, it's by
What a meaning district.
every district. Everybody
What's
has a
the
district.
meaning district? Like what?
A district could be, because Anaheim has many people,
محافظة.
a district can be a population group of Anaheim that are certain zip codes, but because
Yeah.
Anaheim has so many zip codes,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's
Means
not
it
all
have
zip
many
codes.
districts.
Yes, so Anaheim
Oh, okay.
has 3 districts. For example, I'm going to put in here, if you can see the screen, I'm going to put 92801, which is Anaheim. And you can see it comes up with 3 different people, because there are 3 different zip codes, or 3 different people who could have that zip code and be your
Yeah.
representative. Then you need to put in your street address to find it out.
Okay.
Rasul is on here, and so I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to show you that when you put in a 91730, or excuse me, 9288
92804.
Oh, you're 4?
92804. My
Okay,
zip code here.
all right. And I'm just, again, I want to show you how this works. 92804, he is in
Yes.
Corona, and he has either, oops, I hit it wrong. That was my fault. Are you sure?
92804 here in Anaheim.
Oh, in Anaheim, yes. Okay. Yeah, in Corona, 92882. then Ken Calvert would be yours. Or if you're in where I live in Corona, it's 92883. It's Ken Calvert. So you can see when you type it in, it shows the area of coverage for each district. And I live in this district here. So that's who my representative is. You can look up your own by typing in your zip code and then typing in your street address. And if you see up here at the top, house.gov is the address. And that is on your paper. It says that on your paper. So you can go to that website and you can look up your own. All right, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to go back to sharing the questions.
Teacher,
Yes,
that was for House of Representative, right?
yes.
So a quick question, when we need the House of Representative, in which situation?
If your local area, let's just say Anaheim, let's just say there are unfair rules. You think there are unfair rules in that district, or let's say that you believe that the roads are worse in that district than any place else. You would go to your representative and you would say, this needs to be changed. No one is listening to us. The city hasn't fixed anything. We need you as the government to step in and make sure that a change happens. So they would be the ones you would go to and say, can you take care of it? We have had families who have had military personnel who have been missing in different countries. And when that happens, their local representative from the House of Representatives may be who they go to and say, we have not heard from my son. The military says he's missing. Can you help us find out some answers? So when you want answers from the government or you want a change from the government, your local representative is who you talk to.
Yes, thank you, sir. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you can look up your own, and right here it says house.gov. You go to that website and you can look up your own representative. Okay, we're just going to go to question 25 tonight, because it's about 11 o'clock here and I'm getting tired. Question number 24. Who does a U.S. Senator represent? And this is different than the House of Representatives, who represents a very small area. The senator represents the entire state. So let me just put it this way. You live in Anaheim, your senators are the same as someone who lives in Sacramento, whose senators are the same as someone who lives in San Diego, because they all live in California. Senators represent the entire state. They don't represent the city they come from. They don't represent the northern or part of the state. They represent the entire state. So who does the U.S. Senator represent? All of the people. He can't have a favorite section of the state. He has to represent all of the people. And then the question number 25 is, why do some states have more representatives than other states? It's because where there are more people, you need more representatives. And so it's based by population. And some states have fewer members of the House of Representatives, like Rhode Island, which has a smaller population, as opposed to California, which has a larger population. We have more in the House of Representatives, but it's done by population. And what they did was they wanted to make sure that it was fair, that everybody had a local contact. And the reason the number has been at 435 throughout the US is because when population shifts, for example, in California, this last census, the 2020 census, it was discovered that more people have moved out of California and into other states. And so they had to do some redistricting, which means they had to draw new boundary lines for where the districts were, because we didn't have as many people in California. So we lost one of the members of the House of Representatives from California because the population shifted. And when that happens, our state, there's still 435, but they all are in different places. So we covered a lot of information. We covered 15 questions tonight. Is there any clarity or clarification that I can make on any of the questions? And I want to just reiterate, I want to make sure it's very plain to you. The language that I am using, the English language, you are going to have to learn that. I love the fact that Madam Viola will translate in Arabic so that you understand the concept, so that you make sure you understand what judicial means. But you're going to have to use words like judicial, legislative, and executive, and not just the meaning in your language. So just make sure you understand you're going to have to learn the English that goes with these. Any questions? I know some of you just joined. Amir, some of you just joined. Sorry you couldn't be with us at the very beginning.
I'm sorry. Today I was late in my work. Sorry.
Oh, no apology necessary. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mike is coming too late.
That's okay. Again, tonight I am recording this. The recording will be available. If you want to see it, let Madam Viola know and we will send you the recording. So if you feel you missed things, you don't have to feel as though you missed them forever. We have them recorded so that you can review them over and over again if you desire to.
I need the question, Mr. Mike, number 20.
Yes.
What's the name? Number 20.
Yeah, the way you pronounce their names are Diane Feinstein and Alex Padilla.
Oh, the same.
Yeah, they're the same. Yeah, now when we have the election in 2022, this year, that will change. So, in fact, thank you for bringing that up. When an election occurs, the names that you look up could change. In fact, they probably will change. Diane Feinstein, I think, is retiring. So after this year, I think she is, she may be no longer the senator. Or maybe it's Alex Padilla, one of them. Anyway,
this year, no anybody change.
In November, when we have elections.
November, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's when some might change.
Yeah.
And you just need to go to the website and check and make sure what name, so that if your interview is after November of this year, you have the correct names.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
yes, no problem. And we will be around to help you with that if you need help. Any other questions?
Teacher.
Yes.
So we know that we are going, after we get citizen, we are going to vote. But the question is, so we know that on November, we are going to vote for president. How about the senator and representative? We don't know what time they gonna change. When they ask from citizen, it means what time is their election? Is it?
Yes, and that's a good question. What I will do next week is I will have a list of all of the senators and all of the House of Representative members, and it tells you what year they're up for re-election. And so you can look at the list and see if your state or your district has someone who is, it's time for them to be elected again. And that's how you will know. The president is every 4 years, and we will not vote for a president again until 2024.
Oh, for Senate and House of Representative, it is only for individual. It is sometimes for them. Yes. It's individually.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. Not all of them are elected all at the same time. Only a portion of them are elected so that we have consistency in our government. If they all were brand new, no one would know where things were left off. So they do not elect all of them all at the same time. So some senators are up for re-election at some time. Some representatives are up for some time. Not all of them all at the same time. So I will print the list and I will show it next week. I will send it to Viola and she can send it to you, that shows if your district or your state is going to have a new election.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Thank you.
Any other
I have a
questions?
question, please.
Sure.
Can the green card holder, can they vote for the representative or for the senators?
No, you have to be a citizen to vote.
No.
You have to be a citizen. A green card holder means that you have permanent residence and you can work, but you cannot vote. Yeah. You will
Okay.
not be able to vote until you are a citizen. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. Very good. All right, I'm going to say good night now. Viola, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm just want to say that I sent them the picture which you,
Yeah, good,
Okay.
good city.
I sent it now. So anyone not join with us, give us your phone number so we can, because I saw today new people joining.
Okay. Very good. So they have the diagram that I showed. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. So if anyone not with us in ESL, please let me know so I will send it to you as a message. Owner, someone join with owner. Whom owner? Farzana?
Yes. Hi,
This is
Viola.
Farzana. Hi, how are you?
I'm
Where is
good.
Fazil?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not in the ESL class.
It's not ESL. It's a citizenship.
Yeah, I know. This is citizenship,
please,
and I need the papers, the question paper.
Okay. Take my phone number
Okay.
and send me message with your phone number. Okay.
All right. Well, good night to all of you.
Mhm.
And God
Good
bless.
night, Mike.
Thank you,
And we
Mr.
will see
Mike.
you next
Thank
week.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Have a
Viola.
good night. Thank you, Mr. Mike.
Good night. So
Good
good to
night.
see all of you.
Good night.